back to the Tuesday edition of Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. I'm your host, Chris Pittner, and I'm joined with a fantastic crew of Zach, Sam, Alex, Carson, and Austin, and I'm happy to be here. Are you guys happy to be here?
100%.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes.
We got an action-packed show today. We're going to be talking some football, college football, some NFL, and some hockey today as the season kicks off. But first off, we're going to start off with our new obscure sports segment that we're coming up with this week. And this is one that kind of hits closer to home for me a little bit. We're going to cover running today because there was a world record broken in the marathon last weekend where they came only 35 seconds off of breaking 2 hours. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Average pace for that is 4:36 per mile.
It's just honestly.
I definitely couldn't do it.
Other
so-
word.
No way.
I don't think in a million years I could do something
It's important
like
to know, what shoes were they wearing?
Oh.
What?
Oh.
It's important to know.
It's important to know what?
What shoes were they wearing?
I
true.
believe they were the Nike Next Percent or Alpha Fly 2s. Don't quote me on it though.
Wow, interesting.
Nike's made these
Wow.
things called super shoes, which are just, they kind of propel runners to be like incredibly fast. They make them more efficient and just, they call them super shoes.
Wow, you know, that explains a lot. I honestly thought it was Adidas, but that's a shock to me.
Yeah, Nike makes some really good shoes and pretty much everything. But has anyone else ever been in track or cross country in here?
Yeah.
No.
I ran all 4 years at my high school.
How was your experience?
I was a sprinter. I didn't run distance, but I had a couple people that I knew like go to state and everything, and I thought they were pretty good. But keeping, what was it, like a 4:38 or whatever pace, that's just crazy.
As someone who ran like very slow for distance, PR in the mile of 5:57, which I'm very proud of. Running a 4:36 mile for 26 is just absolutely like, it blows my mind. I couldn't even imagine doing that.
Couldn't imagine doing one.
I couldn't even imagine doing a quarter mile. That's about how fast my 400 PR was. But other than that, obviously there's field events as well. There's the shot put, which America kind of runs right now. Just the entire track world in general, America's kind of on top of overall, but mainly on the women's side. When we get to the Olympics, if they always say like America's leading before the track events, it means we're in a good spot to lead the overall medal count. Austin, how was your experience sprinting? I didn't hear about it too much.
I went to state a couple times, and my senior year I blew out my knee, so that was pretty tough. But got a school record for an indoor thing that I actually got here at Whitewater that we broke, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, sprinting's fun, but a lot of injuries come with it. So
Were you a relay guy or an individual?
I was a relay guy. I was really good at handoffs, so they always put me on them.
Were you guys in like 4x1, 4x2?
Yep.
And then you guys went to state for that?
Yeah, we did.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Were you one of the, what position did you run in there?
Most of the time I was the third leg because I'm a lot shorter, so I can run the curve a lot easier, so.
I never even thought about it like that.
That's fair.
I always ran like the 4x8. I only did track for a year. I did the 4x4 when the coach would force us to.
Yeah.
The 4x8 and the 16 were my events. Wasn't really good at any of them, but I gave them a shot. And then in cross country, it was just, to be honest, my team was never very good. We were just there for the fun. We got on our coach's nerves quite a bit. I have a couple good stories. I actually got lost during a race once.
How?
In my defense, it wasn't my fault. I was not first in the pack. I was just following the guy in first.
You just went the wrong path?
There was no one in front of us, like, for a while, and it was like 4 of us, and we all just wandered off the wrong way, basically.
Did you finish the race?
No, I stopped running at that point. I'm like, there's no point.
Nice.
But with that, we're going to move into our first real topic of today, which is going to be the UW Whitewater football team. This weekend, they took a tough loss. Me and Brian Gale were on the call. Alex was our board op and recapper for that. Shout out to him. They took a really tough loss at the end of the game, 50-yard field goal to walk off for La Crosse. Huge blow to the playoff hopes, considering this matchup this weekend, which they face number 4 ranked River Falls, who's got the highest scoring offense and the lowest scoring defense in the WEAC. Austin, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the matchup?
Looking at the stats and everything, I feel like we didn't defend the pass as well as we should have. And I didn't think that we were able to throw the ball as well as we should have been able to either. I mean, Alec Ogden had 154 passing yards and 2 touchdowns.
Those
and-
stats are honestly deceiving a little bit. Sorry to interrupt, because about 75 of that was on one play.
Yeah, I remember seeing a couple big plays too, but I think we need to get our passing game going if we want to go anywhere because, yeah, pounding the rock's a good thing, but when you can't do that, you have to be able to do something else as well.
The big thing in that game, I said the key to the game was going to be turnovers, and that was going to be forcing turnovers, but we forced 0 turnovers in that game, and they forced 3. Tamir Thomas had probably his worst game of the season, fumbling the ball 2 times.
I mean, one of them wasn't really even a fumble though either. That one to like near the end of the third quarter, he was down, but
It's so tough to tell at the top of the stadium when you're just trying to announce everything, and I've seen some comments. There was a lot of boos that were rained down during that too.
No replay, so.
There's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, Austin pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. I feel like we do need to focus and put more attention to the passing game. And you can't just run it the whole time. Like, yeah, it's going to work for some opponents, but, I mean, against La Crosse, it didn't really work. And then, correct me if I'm wrong pronouncing his name, but Maher Parr.
Elijah Maher Parr.
Maher Parr, yeah. He led the backfield with 115 yards and a touchdown instead of Thomas, so that was a big change. I mean, I know our backfield is good, but I didn't think like Tamir Thomas would like dip that much in that game with those turnovers too.
Well, there's some times where guys have off games. Maher
Yeah.
Parr actually really stepped up when he was called upon in that game. He had that huge receiving touchdown too. It was a nice kind of broken play almost where he improvised and ran out and beat his defender and just had the entire sideline to work with.
Yeah, it's good to have players like that, but something that's like really interesting is that they only passed the ball like 16 times and completed it 10. So, I mean, that's just, if you're only passing it 16 times, that says a lot about your offense just being one-dimensional. So,
Well, another thing about that was a lot of that was just because like he wouldn't have ample time in the pocket. Like
Yeah.
the La Crosse pass rush was pretty solid, and Ogden would have to scramble out, and he did make good use of that in the first quarter. But after that, it kind of went away.
and I would just like to say, well, no, it's still on topic of the matchup, but last week, I think I said the score was going to be 37-34 Warhawks winning it. So I just got the team wrong. So close.
I also remember me saying, I said the Warhawks would win like, what, 34-31 last week? I don't remember. I think it was.
I think we all, if I'm not mistaken,
Somewhere
went
around
with the
the 30s.
shootout answer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what all signs were pointing towards.
Well, that part was right.
We all predicted it was going to be like a close game.
Yeah, that too.
That and La Crosse just took the rest. The Whitewater tied the game with about, I think it was about 6.5 minutes left, and they allowed La Crosse to go on like a 6.5 minute time killing
Nice,
drive right
yeah.
at the end of the game.
Yeah, it
Like
seems
they
about
converted
right.
a couple 3rd and longs. I want to say they converted like a 3rd and 18 or something like that. And that was just, those are killers.
Yeah, as you
There's
said,
really no other way to put it.
yeah, with like the 3rd and 18s, I think they did that a couple times. It seemed like they were doing better with those than some of the short 3rd and down to goes. But I mean, I don't know, it was tough because I feel like another thing with the La Crosse, they had a lot of trick plays and a lot of like moving the ball around.
They were able to, they threw their quarterback, Kaiser Helterbrand, into the backfield for pretty much the entire second half.
Yeah, and, like, they just
they
ran
ran
him for a
Zach
lot of it.
Weir as their quarterback.
And then eventually, like in like the 4th, then they finally had the quarterback at running back do a pass, and then that was like a touchdown. It's like
Oh, he was wide open, the guy was.
Exactly. It was just all so unpredictable. A lot of motion, a lot of throwing the ball around, play action. They had the quarterback punt and then pinned him at the 1, so that definitely helped him.
That's, believe it or not the first time I've seen that. Oshkosh does that every every once in a while too.
But I mean, it was
Their
just a lot
quarterback
of
doubles as a
effective
punter.
things. Like, it's just they were able to do all the right things that they needed to do. The defense wasn't able to convert the turnovers that they needed. And I know they had a couple that they almost had, like a dropped pick, a pick out of bounds, things like that.
There was another one. I think it was like they got a pick in the end zone, but it was called back because of something.
Oh, that's right. I think it was like some defensive penalty, hold or whatever. But I mean, it was just they had the pieces. Maybe it was a face mask, but they had the pieces. But I mean, it was just the turnovers, really. I mean, lacrosse hadn't scored off a turnover all season. And then last week they were able to score all the points that they needed from it, and that was just really hard to try and.
The one
be
in the
able to come
first
back
quarter
from.
was especially backbreaking because he fumbled on the 1 yard line.
Yeah,
he
that
was,
was brutal.
I think he was trying to reach for the end zone and
Probably.
he fumbled in the process.
And that was completely frustrating.
Yeah, that was a momentum killer right off the bat.
Yeah. The 1 yard line, dude.
I mean, you could go through a couple of different things. They went for 2 and missed one other time, and they missed an extra point too. Like you
Yeah,
could just
yeah.
kind of list off the, like it just was not the Warhawks day. I don't think.
1,000 paper
No.
cuts, really.
Definitely had an off game.
Sam, any thoughts?
Well, I guess if we're looking forward to the River Falls game, I guess I just hope like the quarterback play isn't the same because like Kale Blaha, I think it's just going to be like another game possibly because he also leads their team in rushing yards too, like Helterbrand. So I just hope like the same thing doesn't happen where like I don't think they're gonna probably put him at like running back and like wide receiver.
No.
But like it's still crazy that he still leads the team obviously in rushing yards.
And it's not even
just-
really close. It's like most of the running plays are just for him.
Yeah.
Like their next best rusher is only around like 120 yards, and he's over 500. But I looked a little deeper into that. A lot of his runs only go for a couple of yards. Like his average is only in the 3 to 4 range.
Just keep doing it. It's going to work eventually.
He does have, I think it's 7 rushing touchdowns on the year, though. So their offense is incredibly dynamic. They put up 45 points on Mary Hardin Baylor week 1. And they put up, I think it was 49 on Eau Claire last week. So they definitely have that capability to put up a ton of points in bunches. Zach?
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, that it's definitely gonna be quite a game for the Warhawks this Saturday. I mean, we're playing. I mean, you know, the River Falls. Yeah, that they're ranked number 1 in offense and defense. It's like, yeah, and compared to that, we're like number 4. So it's like, if we really want to have a chance of, you know, hopefully make the playoffs, yeah, we definitely got to score W this weekend for sure.
Yeah, making the playoffs is going to be an uphill battle if we lose this time because usually the golden rule in our conference is 2 teams make it, and if you lose 2 games, you're basically out.
Yeah, for conference games. It's like, so yeah, like our playoff hopes, I would say, are right on the line here for this Saturday.
The thing is, though, is what's so weird about Division 3 is like you could be ranked in like the top 15, be like 8-2, but 2 other conference teams are ahead of you and you miss the playoffs. That's just how it works. It's because every conference gets an auto bid, and that's why some teams have like such easy matchups going through like the first and second rounds. Like my freshman year, the football team pretty much walked all the way to the semifinals where they met a buzzsaw. But I'm just gonna go around again really quick. Zach, we'll start with you. Score predictions for this weekend.
If I had to guess the score, it's got to be probably about 42 to 21 River Falls.
Oh, so you're saying they dominate Whitewater?
Probably, yeah.
Not only a win, but a domination, an
Probably.
embarrassment.
I hate to say it, but that's what I'm seeing.
I think it's going to be a really close game, and I think Whitewater really needs to win this game, but I think I don't know. I actually do think they will bounce back, and I think it's going to be a really close one, and they win 2017.
I mean, both of these teams have shown their resiliency. Last year, River Falls came down here, was down 27-6 or something or of that nature at halftime, came all the way back, and then lost on a field goal right at the end of the game. And then Whitewater this year, they were down, I think it was 34-20 in that 4th quarter against La Crosse and crawled all the way back. Got a couple of stops, but at the end, they just couldn't get the final one. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that this will be a really tough, close game.
For me, like, I could see them bouncing back. I could see them coming, having like a good response game of sorts, and being able to upset them because obviously they're really the underdogs or the road team in this scenario. They're going to be like fighting to get the win. But I just feel like every victory for River Falls has been just an utter shellacking thus far. I mean, it's just, they really haven't had any close games. I guess the closest one was, I believe, Platteville 27-16, but even then, that's still a double digit. So I feel like that's not really going to change too much here. Probably going to be another shootout, I imagine. You're like 40-31, something like that.
It's really tough though because we haven't really faced like a cupcake type opponent yet this year,
Yeah.
and they faced two of them.
Yeah, but I mean, they still were able to win against the tougher competition as well that they've faced within the
I mean, like,
conference.
I'm just saying, like, a
yeah.
couple of those games inflate the stats a
Honestly,
little bit. Some
obviously-
teams do play those on purpose, so, you know, their points per game looks a little higher.
Like
their
the
defense looks a
Northwestern
little better.
75-3, obviously, yeah, it's probably not indicative of them entirely, but obviously they were able to put up that much, so they have to have something there.
Yeah, they've had a couple big games already this year in those type of situations. I want to say they played Northwestern and won 75-3, like you said. Like, that doesn't tell us anything about them.
Yeah, they were able to take care of business.
River Falls 45, Warhawks 32. We really need to like step up, like as was mentioned before, our offense. You know, got to have better ball security. When a guy goes down, he's underperforming. It's great to have somebody that steps up, but I mean, it's best to not have that. So like your main guy should, you know, he should get back in his groove, Timur Thomas, and we really need to take out their center of their offense, their quarterback, because he's not entirely accurate. I believe he only has like a 65% completion rating, so that's not really that good, but he still has 16 touchdowns, and he ran in 7. So if he can't get it with his arm, he's going to get it with his legs. So, I mean, if you take him down, then the window for winning the game is opened dramatically.
They also have a ton of talented receivers. Last year, I remember in that game, they had a few surefire touchdowns that he just missed by a yard or two on. Like, he overthrew a receiver, underthrew a receiver. Like, they would be able to dust our DBs, but the pass just wouldn't get there.
I think the game, it's tough, honestly, because we're facing another dual threat quarterback. And I think now that we have faced that, and now that we know what we're going up against and we know what's on the line, I think we're going to, put a lot more emotion into the game. I think it'll be a closer game. But if we can't get our passing game going, and if we can't, we saw all these defensive stops last game, but we couldn't do anything on offense after those stops. I think if we don't execute like what we do, we're going to lose. I'm going to, score-wise, I'm going to go 34-27.
River Falls or Whitewater?
River Falls.
I'm going to be the optimist here. I'm going to go 34-31 Whitewater. I really hope that we
Bring
can
in the
pull it
whole
out.
crowd.
I think the guys are going to go out there, know what's on the line, and just play their hearts out.
I could definitely see
This
that
is,
be the case.
they're playing for their essentially playoff lives right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and I think they know that internally. I think Rindall probably knows that with what he's going through in practice this week, and they're just going to go out there and leave it all out there. So I'm going to be the optimist. I'm not known for being an optimist, but I guess there's everyone. I don't know how to put it.
It's
but
a new week.
Yeah.
I might as well just
New
for the
week,
time.
new me, basically.
But I'd say my biggest concern still is going to be pressure because I feel like that's something that they struggled with against Lacrosse. They were really never able to get to the quarterback, and now it seems like this guy's even more mobile somehow. So if they can contain that, I'll give them a better chance. But until they can prove it, I just don't know.
I think the pass coverage was a little lackluster too at times. They would kind of let guys almost up to the sticks and then let them run for an extra 2 yards and then get in front. And I'm like,
Yep.
oh. But if they can tighten those things up, it'll make it a lot easier for them.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, and I also want to give a shout out to all the people that came out on Saturday. We broke another attendance record for the third year in a row.
Oh my God,
Over
yeah,
20,000 people packed the Perk that day, which is absolutely incredible considering we're a Division III team in a town with 14,000 people. So shout out to everyone that came out and watched that. It was a classic. It just didn't go our way. But moving over to a game that was not a classic and another team that struggles to get the passing game going.
Classic in a different way.
Yeah, classically terrible. No love was lost yesterday. The Packers blew a 17-13 golden opportunity in the fourth quarter. Jordan Love throwing 3 interceptions. There was a controversial horse collar penalty on Marcus Peters where the Packers could not score a touchdown from the 3-yard line. We'll start with the Packers fan in here because there's not too many. Sam, what were your thoughts?
I don't even really know where to start. I mean, it's just such a disappointing game, honestly, and just 2 of the interceptions for sure were on Jordan Love. The one at the end of the game and his first interception. I don't know
What was he trying to do on that one? I was honestly confused.
It was like double or triple.
It was like he had a brain
basically.
fart almost.
I don't know, but that was terrible. I was glad they were able to get the run game going a little more with AJ Dillon. Finally, like his first solid game of the year. I think it really still hurts we don't have Aaron Jones. Like we don't have someone that can consistently go out of the backfield and just drop down into the flats, just be open, just take off from there. I think that's a big just killer because really the only thing that was getting open last night were just the tight end flats for Musgrave or I think Sims and DeGuara
DeGuara had a good one too.
Yeah. So I don't it's frustrating because I think we have the talent like Watson and Dobbs and they're really not getting open.
I don't
Watson had the
understand.
one.
And another thing that I noticed is Love just doesn't get much time in the pocket either.
Oh,
And sometimes
sucks.
he almost stands there like he's too confident in his line to where he'll stand there and just stand there and stand there dude, just run. You have the speed, get out of the pocket, man. You're kind of elusive.
I also didn't they ran quite a bit of play action at the end of the game. I don't know if that was just because they thought the run game was working, so they thought, oh, well, if we run some play action, it might open up the pass game, but it really didn't, and just not enough time because we didn't have, no one was blocking, and then, I don't know, then when really, I feel like the game was over just when Max Crosby got that sack at the end of the game, even though it wasn't it just felt over based off of what they were able to do on offense because pretty much every play felt like it was a gain of maybe 3, 4, 5 yards, and then obviously really the only thing that really majored that happened in the game was the Watson 77-yard play, and of course he just couldn't get in.
Which was a broken play too, might I add.
Yeah.
If I could throw 50 yards, I could have made that play. If he was 30 yards out, I could have made that throw.
Yeah, he was wide open. Oh, sorry.
All right, we can. Yeah, sorry about that. Quick silence break. But what were your thoughts on the defense yesterday?
It was really good. I mean, I thought at the beginning, Gary got a sack for sure. Kenny Clark, I think, got one of the first sacks of the game. I mean, I think they played pretty good. Jair, honestly, he missed a couple tackles on Jacobs for sure that I know one of them went for
There was
20
one
yards. And the one play where Devontae Adams almost did a kind of a post or slant. I mean, that was I think that was Keyshawn Nixon and maybe
Rasul Douglas,
yeah, I
potentially?
think so. And then they weren't on the same page with what who was gonna go, I guess, in front of the play because they thought it was gonna be a slant and he almost jumped it way too early and was just way off and just I don't know.
Well, then there was another one where they had Preston Smith on him.
Oh yeah.
That just hurts to see. I don't care. For the most part, they did a pretty good job with Devontae Adams, but
He only had
4 catches, I think.
maybe 50, 60 yards.
I mean, he helped me win in fantasy this week, so because my opponent had him.
Aaron Jones screwed me over by not playing.
Yeah, I really think the offense they need Aaron Jones. He's their X factor. You saw how they looked against the Bears and how they've looked against everyone else.
I mean, they can use him as a receiver, and obviously he scored on that one play, and of course he hurt his hamstring on that play.
Getting Love going with those checkdowns is going to open up the rest of his game. And just getting him confident early, hitting those check down throws. If we can get Jones a couple of those at the start of the game, it's going to help him with everything else pretty much. Alex, any thoughts?
I mean, I guess if we're talking Jordan Love, I don't want to get, too pessimistic or anything or be the guy, but just from a pure probability standpoint, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, the draft class as a whole, you had Herbert, you had Burrow, you had Tua, you had Hurts, the chances of him fifth quarterback in that class to really mount to much is asking an awful lot. But then also to have like back-to-back-to-back great quarterbacks is also, again, very slim chances. So I'm not saying like, it's over already, but I'm just saying like the chances of it are very slim. And so, we'll see where it goes. But he could turn out okay, but I just can't see it being great.
I've realized over the last few weeks that fans are even more reactionary than they've ever been. Twitter is just a wild place. Like, there were people already dubbing him the next gold jacket winner after week 3, and now they're literally saying the guy should never touch a football again. And it's been 2 weeks.
They're
Week to
very
week.
bipolar,
Media.
Like, I understand, like, the guy's been in the league for 3 years, but he's also only really played, like, 2 games.
Yeah, before the season.
And also, we had the most accurate quarterback probably of all time before that. And it just makes it so much tougher to, like, temper expectations for interceptions and stuff. Like, just, people aren't used to that in Green Bay. We're probably the most spoiled franchise in the NFL, besides maybe New England for the younger fans, but...
Not getting any rejection or can't think of the word. I'm not disagreeing with you.
That's a first. He didn't come up with a fancy word.
He's not going to oppose me on it.
Yeah, there we go. No opposition.
Wow, yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I feel like the public is definitely overreacting a lot. I mean, he's definitely off to like a interesting start, with like going off those first few games, and then now he's starting to decline a little bit. But I mean, he did go against the Lions for one of those
Who have a
losses.
solid defense.
Yeah, so like
Absolutely.
that's completely credible there. But I mean, last night he was just, I don't know what was going on with him, but he was just not there. Maybe it's the lack of veteran.
It's the silly body t-shirts, if you know what I mean.
Silly body. No, I just feel like when Aaron Jones comes back, this offense is gonna get back to where it's supposed to be, because I mean, a lot of the receivers there are like first, second years, and I mean, A.J. Dillon, he's like a bright spot in a dark place right now. So you pretty much have to put your whole offense on A.J. Dillon, which is what they were pretty much doing.
That's
this
not a good idea
No,
from a
100%
Packers fan.
not.
It's really
terrible.
not.
It's terrible. But, I mean, you're kind of forced to do that. I mean, they were forced to do it in the second half last night, and the outcome that happened just goes to show what lack of veterancy. I mean, even their tight end group, I don't even know who's the set, like, starter. I mean, at first
It's
I thought it was
Luke Musgrave, number
so
88.
So it is Musgrave, okay. Because I saw Tucker Kraft in there, like, for a good chunk of the game, so I didn't know if, like, Musgrave was injured or they took him out because he wasn't doing well. But, I mean, the fact that I would even have to question that is, like, very concerning for this Green Bay offense.
Yeah, there's really zero veteran presence besides Aaron Jones.
Yep.
Bakhtiari's out for the season now.
Oh,
Who knows if we're even going to
oh,
see him the
no.
rest of the year.
Trade
Trevor
him.
again.
Be a Packer
Trade him.
again.
Jets.
Trade him. No, not the Jets. No.
He would not play for the Jets, not
Oh,
because
he
it would be
would.
the turf. He
Oh,
would
man.
not play for the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers is their GM. He can do what he
You're
wants.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. You
Yeah,
know
I
what? You
guess.
Put it like that.
He'd force them to install natural grass then.
He's the owner now, too.
Woody Johnson, step aside.
I would also like to say it is absolutely absurd that Preston Smith was in coverage. That is absurd.
He's a
the
pass
only-
rusher.
The only player that can do that is Aiden Hutchinson.
Or maybe Micah Parsons.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Parsons.
But I mean, that's just ridiculous to have some. That's almost like how last year they had Shelby Harris as a coverage guy, and then he went for a touchdown on that play. Like, that's ridiculous. You don't have a lineman in coverage. That's terrible.
Well, that's what Joe Barry does. Austin, what are your thoughts?
As a Falcons fan, this was a comical loss.
We've had
Thank
3 of those this year already.
Jordan Love, I don't think he's the guy. I don't want to say stuff too early, but I mean, seeing like some of those throws, like his first interception, I don't know who he was looking at, but it was
He was looking at whatever defender he threw that to.
Yeah.
the
He forgot
last
he was
play.
on the white team and not the black team.
Colorblind.
The last play too, that pick he threw. Watching that, I was like, why? But the Packers offense, you have to be able to do something with that. I feel like the defense was pretty good. They had 4 sacks, a pick, and they held Adams like pretty well. Josh Jacobs somewhat, but Josh Jacobs is pretty good as well. but it's just the offense. I mean, 76 yards for A.J. Dillon, 182 yards for Jordan Love, and besides Christian Watson's big play, they really had no receiving yards besides that. So I just think the offense, yeah, they're young, but still they should be able
They
to
should
do
be
something.
improving, not
Yeah.
regressing every week.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of that goes down to coaching. I've been kind of critical of Matt LaFleur since last year. I honestly think he was just an Aaron Rodgers merchant, is what I'm going to
Yep.
call him, where he was just kind of bailed out by him for 4 years, and now the cracks are starting to show in whatever he tries to do. Zach?
I mean, you could just tell by last night that Green Bay is like at full rebuild mode. I mean, they're just not. There's not really what they've been like for the past couple of years now. I mean, like I said, Jordan Love. I know he had a horrible game last night. Like I said, 3 interceptions though. But I mean, I don't know if I would really say like right now that he's not the guy for Green Bay. I don't know if I would say that now.
It's far too early to say
so
that.
I mean, I do see him. Probably staying with Green Bay for like maybe 2 years, I'd say. But I don't.
We're
but-
tanking for
but
Caleb,
what
actually,
I-
though.
but what I-
Good luck in the
Yeah.
division.
but what I see,
Yeah, I think Carolina might have that on lock.
No, they don't.
But
Oh, wait, no,
Yeah,
Chicago
Chicago
has it
has
on
it.
lock.
But would I say that he'll improve though? Well, I think that's too early to say. That's just me.
So you really don't think he's going to get any better throughout the season?
I think that's too early to answer that question. 'Cause
I mean, they have the get right game of get right games coming up in week 7 after the bye week against Denver. Literally gave up 70 points in a game. Like, you can't get much worse than that. Sam Howell put up 35 against them. Like, if we
Don't
can't put up
disrespect
more than
Sam
like
Howell.
24, like, what are we doing?
Sam Howell's going to be the future of Washington.
I think
Honestly,
he is.
I think he is, actually. He's doing really well.
I'm just saying, for his first year starting, and he put up like 35 points in his second
Hey, he
game.
did pretty good against the Eagles, too.
Yeah, that's true. He's had some decent games
that
this year.
receiving
I don't
core
think
is
he was half
crazy.
bad against the Bears either.
Bro, Curtis Samuel, Scary Terry, still got Dotson.
Scary Terry needs to pick up his production. He's done nothing for me. I can't
feel
even
like he's
start
been
him in fantasy. He's unstartable
Yeah.
right now.
I feel like he's been
Digressing.
digressing the past few years. Like, he's such a talented player, but I don't know why he's just not doing what he can do.
Plays for Washington.
Okay.
It's the quarterback situation,
It's
I
just been
think.
tough.
That does have a factor.
New quarterback every year.
That,
Yeah,
yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
he has.
They should have kept
Colin.
Heineke, man.
He's like, oh, dude, Heineke was
Heineke
great.
was so good.
But Howell's
So
the
good.
future.
He was so lucky, is what he
Fun
was.
to watch. I'll re-say that. Fun
He's a
to
fan,
watch.
fan favorite. Fan favorite.
Fan favorite. That's what
Gotta
we
love
need.
Heineke.
I only respect him because he was a Brett Favre fan as a
Yes.
kid,
Yeah.
and
There
That's
you
why
go.
his number is number 4. Yeah.
Yep.
So cool.
Is he going to make a start in Atlanta?
No.
Austin?
No. No.
After Desmond Ritter's last game, I take back what I said about him before.
Ritter's
Overreaction week by
He
week.
is
he's inconsistent.
a
Yeah, he is.
mediocre player now
Yeah.
instead of trash, and I will take that.
He's slightly above the. He's recycling instead of garbage.
First against the Texans. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
the
saying the Texans
Texans
aren't
doing
like
all right.
terrible, but
They
like
could have won that.
I don't think their defense is still that good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Stroud's doing
I
nice.
guess.
Before we move on, I want a prediction now from everyone. Do LaFleur and Barry survive the season or survive the off season this year?
LaFleur will.
Yeah,
Yeah, LaFleur will.
Yeah.
Barry,
Barry
maybe
won't.
not.
Barry's gone.
If
He's
if
gone.
anyone's
Yeah.
gonna go first, it's gonna be Barry.
Yeah, LaFleur's
They give
going
him
to be
another
fine.
year.
Yeah, I
I'd
feel like the transition from the quarterback you've had for years to a new quarterback is like so drastic. You can't really judge.
Yeah.
your
Gotta
coach
adjust the
off of
Yeah,
playbooks
yeah.
and stuff, kind of work it back in.
Well, you would think he's been doing that for however
that. Yeah,
long.
you'd think he'd be-
Like Jordan
he'd
Love
be,
is
like,
running
setting
the
it up for him.
LaFleur offense now. Like this isn't the Rodgers Taylor
No.
whatever. I do whatever I want offense anymore. This is like when our offense stinks now. Like when the play calling's bad, that's on him. It's not on Rodgers calling for a 50-yard deep ball on a 4th and 1. You know. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm
a
not
chance.
very high on Matt LaFleur. Some people are, some people aren't. It really depends.
I'm not gonna say I am. I'm just thinking he'll stick around. That's just gonna be
Yeah.
a decision.
I feel
for
like,
They're not
I
gonna
feel
put
like
the blame on him.
2 years is like, as of right now, that's his like max.
Like, it's just a lot of uncertainty at the moment.
Yeah, his job as the coach of the Packers, I would say, is safe right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a
for
hot
sure.
seat yet.
Yeah.
It's warm, but not hot.
yeah.
It's warmer than it was at this time last year. I'll
Yeah.
put it
Yeah,
that way.
for sure.
It's
Yeah.
pretty cool
Not,
at this
not
time
like hot
last
like
year.
lava, but you know.
Especially because whenever we face really any like up to par coach. He's just ran circles around him. Like Robert Saleh ran circles around him last year. Shanahan has literally done cartwheels over him.
Backflips.
Yeah, he's lapping the field in that regard. Like just pretty much any time he faces like a decent head coach, it's like he looks overmatched.
Yeah.
Like I think he's perfectly mediocre is where I think he is.
Are you thinking over or under 500 for the Packers this year?
I'm gonna say 7-10 right
Yes.
now.
Yes,
I think that's fair.
I agree. 7 wins is perfect.
I was thinking we could be 3-4 or maybe even 4-1 after this stretch, but the fact that we're 2-3 kind of raises some alarm bells, I think.
Almost 1-4 if not for the Saints missed field goal.
That's very true.
Could have beat the Falcons too.
No, that's
Yeah,
also,
it's you could
they
honestly
could
go
not.
either way.
Yeah,
with
we could have. We just fell just short in the fourth quarter.
Desmond Ritter, that was one of his good games.
He is on the rise. Just watch
He's
out for
rising from number 33 on the quarterback rankings behind Jacoby Brissett to number 32 now.
him. And I'll take it. If it's winning us games, I'll take it.
that's all you got. All you got to do.
So with that, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is going to be the hockey preview.
Yeah.
I know Carson's very excited. We'll get right into it with you. How are you feeling about the Kraken this year?
You know, honestly, I feel like they're the sleeper team this year. They made it pretty deep in the playoffs last year. They were one of the best offenses. Most of the guys are returning. There is Matty Beniers is going to be back on the roster. He just won the Calder Trophy, which is Rookie of the Year. And there's some other promising young stars, such as Ty Cartier and Shane Wright, who hopefully will play this year.
Are they both rookies this year?
Cartier was last year. Shane Wright was going through like assignments and stuff in lower leagues because he was too young. So maybe midway through this season he'll play, but I'm really excited for him. I mean, he was projected to be like the #1 prospect in that draft class. So it'll be great to see him play finally. But yeah, just like the performance they put up last year and like all the players and the skills they have, they're a very promising team. The only thing that they got to work on is their defense because they didn't really elaborate much on that, and that was their biggest concern last year. Like goalie Philip Grubauer, he like stepped up big time, especially against the Colorado Avalanche and a little bit towards the Stars.
I don't
But-
remember. Did you guys win that series?
Against the Avalanche?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Took it to Game 7, boy. That was a great series.
And they were
But-
the defending Stanley
Yes,
Cup
they
champions from
were.
the year before.
Yes, they were.
Yep.
And then we went against the Dallas Stars and we lost in Game 6. Oh, my gosh. We should have won that game.
The Stars are another really solid team, too.
Yeah, but they just... I can't stand any Dallas team. And they're not
That's-
a playoff team either. Like, they choked in the... What was it? The conference championship against the... Oh, I'm blanking. I think the Canes.
Vegas.
Oh, it was Vegas. You're right. Yeah.
Because they won the Cup last year.
Yeah. I just blanked on that because I hate the Knights.
You're
But
such a spiteful man.
okay, well, they
Speaking
are
of-
divisional rivals, so I kind of have to hate them. But nonetheless,
Alex, so you don't dislike the Chiefs then as a Chargers fan?
Okay, well, in that case, they say hate is a strong word, but I don't think it's strong enough, really. It's insufferable lately.
but yeah, defense is really the only thing they got to worry about. That's the only thing that like takes them out of the favorites. I mean, they are ranked. What was it? We were looking at the rankings earlier. They were ranked 9th.
What, power rankings?
Yeah, they were ranked somewhere in like right around top 10. So
I
the defense is
believe
the
I
thing that's
saw when
bringing
I
them
looked
down.
at a power rankings earlier around 12 maybe.
Yeah, that seems about right. Honestly, it's the defense or the offense that's carrying us and the defense that's bringing us down. Like Martin Jones was not good last year, and he was the starter for the majority of the season for being our goalie. And then Philip Grubauer took over, and now he was doing good. And then we had Dackard. So there's really no set goalie, so that really hurts. But honestly, I really feel like the Kraken are going to be one of the better teams this year.
Not that this is all about records, but Martin Jones did have a significantly better record than than Grubauer did. He was 27-13. Grubauer was 17-14 last year.
Yeah.
Not that that means anything, because
It's
the
all about
offense
safe, yeah.
obviously can underperform. He did have a better goals allowed by a little bit than Martin Jones did. So
Yeah, it's all about goals allowed and save percentages. That's the big thing when it comes up for goalies. And like if you saw Grubauer in the playoffs last year, I mean, he was just insane. There was one point where he only allowed like four shots in like 2 periods or something like that. It was really remarkable.
in hockey, if I'm not mistaken, they shoot about 40 a game, give or take.
Yeah, depending on the offense, it's about like lower teams it'll be like 25, and then like average teams it'll be like up in the 40s.
I remember watching the Panthers-Bruins Game 7 last year, and the Bruins had taken so many more shots, but the Panthers just converted theirs.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's one of the worst things for losing that, like a game like that, is when you're getting to the goalie, but you just can't finish it. I mean,
Shout out
that's
Evan
really hard,
Chrisman,
yeah.
by the way, for me predicting that the Bruins were frauds last year, and it happened.
I was so glad they were frauds. May they never win a cup again.
They had the best record the whole regular season last year.
I want to
And
say
they
it was
get
the
out-
best record of all time
yeah,
in the
yeah,
regular
it
season.
was.
It was like, I forgot what it was exactly, but it was like insane, man.
It was remarkable, and to see them burn was
Yeah.
just even more.
In the first round of all places, too.
So great.
Probably the biggest upset ever in last year's Stanley Cup playoffs. Arguably, the biggest upset was that.
Yeah, usually number one seeds in hockey don't mean anything. Like
True.
Toronto Maple Leafs, they were number one seed.
I
like,
mean,
a
if you look
couple
at
years they
baseball,
lost.
even too, like the Braves and Phillies are tied up right now. Dodgers are down 2-0. Like there's certain sports where the one seed means more than others.
Yeah, and hockey is not one of those because even the Panthers 2 years ago they were the number one seed and they got first rounded. Number one seeds in hockey don't really mean anything. It's really the matchup that matters the most.
The thing that matters though is home ice in hockey, though.
Yeah,
Atmosphere
well-
in the playoffs is just different compared to.
Yeah, that is very true. But it also depends on the team. Like I forget the team, but the entire stadium was crowded by the rival team for a home game.
If I had to
It
guess, it
happened
was
last
either
year.
Arizona or Florida.
It was neither one of those teams. It was in the playoffs last year. I forget the team.
It might have been the Panthers.
I think it was the Panthers. But I mean, honestly, it's all about like the fan base. That really depends on how much of an impact they have on the game. But yeah, the crowd is really hectic sometimes.
Also, do you have a preseason MVP pick?
No. The only reason why I don't is because I couldn't watch a single game because I didn't have any of the channels. So
Dang.
otherwise, I'd be able to. I mean, I could just say Matty Beniers for you if you want.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, let's go. Matty
Let's go with the
Beniers.
hot take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Austin, any predictions for the year?
I mean, looking at it, not a ton of predictions, but yeah. Avalanche looked pretty good this year. They did lose in the first round, but
I mean, they did have a
yeah,
lot of
they did.
injuries, so I do expect them to be
Yeah,
able
they
to.
lose to
I believe
Owen?
his name's like Kale Bakar or something like that.
Yeah, Kale McCarr.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of the
he's
best
a really
defenders in
solid
the league,
player.
yeah.
They have a couple other like really, really good players too.
McKinnon. Yeah.
Jared.
Did you say Jared McKinnon?
You said McKinnon. You just
That's a
said Jared.
football player.
yeah, I think if injuries don't plague them, they could make a lot bigger run than the first round this year.
Also, just to note, Patrick Kane is still unsigned. I learned that today.
Are you
Really? I thought he was
serious?
still with the Rangers.
He had hip surgery during the summer, and he's currently an unrestricted free agent.
Oh shoot, we'll take him.
I thought he re-signed with the Rangers.
That's not what Google told me about 5 hours ago.
Oh.
I thought he was still on the Rangers too until I looked that up.
Be interesting
know.
where he goes this season.
Zach, any predictions?
Not really. I mean, it's already the beginning of the season, but I'm pretty sure, like, for teams who I think are going to be pretty good, like, probably the Avalanche, Golden Knights probably, Stars for sure, and then.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like a shot to the heart.
The Stars, I wouldn't say they're gonna be like the best, but they're just probably gonna have a decent year. But that's just what I would say is my prediction right now.
Sure.
I've also seen some really good things about the Devils. Shout out to Sierra. I know she's
I
a
was
huge
getting to
Devils
that.
fan.
I was getting to
7-0
that.
preseason.
I want to say I saw that they're like number 2 or number 1 in the power rankings right now.
They've been up and down. Anywhere between like
Fun fact.
6,
Fun
4.
fact. There's only 2 teams to go 7-0 in the preseason. Both have missed the playoffs, and the Devils went 7-0 in the preseason.
That is
so
something to note.
That is
Also, the 0-16 Lions and Browns, I believe, went 3-0 in the preseason
Yep.
too
Hey,
in football.
you know,
Different
that's
what I'm
sport,
talking
but same
about.
idea.
See, it's not just a coincidence, Sierra. You can't get mad at me for that.
I guess the only thing that I'm really just like interested for the season is just, I guess, Connor Bedard. I mean, but I guess who isn't? I just felt like he was a generational player, not knowing, I guess, really too much about hockey. He was like literally everywhere within the media. So I just think,
The Blackhawks were incredibly lucky to win the lottery.
Should've
I
been
remember
Anaheim.
my friend, we were at dinner actually, and he saw that they won it, and he started running around the dining hall like in excitement. Like he's a huge Blackhawks fan. He was wearing his Patrick Kane jersey today. But I think for me, I just want to see how inept the Oilers can be this year with all their star talent that they have.
Yeah, that you
Oh,
can never
yeah.
go wrong with them. They're like the 2010s Patriots, like for the generation of hockey right now. I mean, you're just expecting them
Minus
to win it, but then they
minus the
just-
rings that they
I would
won.
say except for all the
minus
wins.
any
Minus all the success.
Minus any success, the hype around them is what I was more so pointing to.
Draisaitl
They're-
and McDavid are
Yeah,
probably
he's
the
got
2
to be
best
better.
players in all of
that is-
hockey.
That is
Oh, yeah,
a
for sure.
deadly duo. That is really good.
Their offense has always been their strong point, and their defense has not been.
Nope.
I want to say Evander Kane's a semi-decent player, but besides that, it's pretty slim pickings on that side of the ice.
Yeah.
Alex, any thoughts?
Well, first, for a better football comparison from the 2010s, I'd say something like, Green Bay after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was about to
Never
say
did it
that
again.
that could
Always
be
had
very
the hype,
fitting.
never really got there.
Either that or maybe like the 2015 Carolina Panthers.
There you
That
go.
is that is
That's-
perfect. Honestly, that's really good.
All the swag, all the hype,
Yeah.
all the domination, and then nothing.
Yeah.
It's like the Bruins.
Smoke and mirrors.
But then I suppose, as he was saying, like all the 7-0 teams in the preseason, never make the playoffs. 4-0 teams going 0-16 NFL. But, things like that are meant to be broken. You figure, what was it? Since like 1999, nobody had won MVP and Super Bowl. And then much to my chagrin, Mahomes did it last year. So, things happen, things break. Nobody had come back from 0-3 in a MLB playoff. And then Boston did it in 0-4, I think.
Yeah, records are made to be broken.
So I figure, why not? Could happen. But, the Devils still have a lot of good players. They've got the Jack Hughes. They got the Dawson Mercer, Tyler Toffoli as an addition. And, there's just a lot of great forwards. So, it's something to take into consideration. But the one thing that they'll be lacking this year that they had, or the one thing they'll lack this year that they had last year is going to be the element of surprise. So
That's a good one. Ha 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 ha.
that's true.
Anyways.
They were an underdog last
I'm
year.
intrigued to also see how the Maple Leafs do this year.
Oh, dude.
Because last year they finally broke their lose every time in the first round.
it'd be so
curse.
great.
Thank gosh, first time since 01. I was so happy, and then the next round happened. And then they
Austin
just-
Matthews deserves better.
Dude, he really does. Put him somewhere. Get him to Edmonton if you can. Just get him somewhere where he's going to succeed. He's
They might
such a good
average
player.
10 goals a game if that happens.
Dude, honest, that trio would just be insane. Oh my
And they'd still
gosh.
probably get bounced in the second round.
Yeah, probably, but a man can hope.
Man can dream.
I just want to say, since nobody else said it, the Hurricanes are also a team that
Yeah.
should be looked on.
For sure.
They played a great outing in the playoffs last year, and they only got better in the season or the off season with.
I want to say they were the
Olaf.
number 1 in the rankings that I read.
Yeah, it's usually between them, the Knights, or the Avalanche most of the time in those rankings. But they signed Dmitry Olov, so that's already gonna put additions to their stellar defense. They also got Caleb Jones, and that gave them another good defenseman. So just adding on to something that was already their specialty is going to be like, I mean, it's going to make waves in this season.
Waves, hurricane.
Nice.
Pun intended, of course.
Yes, of course. I totally meant to do that.
So that was a good discussion on hockey, but I want to get this in really quick. I'm going to call this hot or not. This is going to be kind of rapid fire. I'm not going to let everyone explain these too much, but it's going to be whether these following NFL coaches are on the hot seat right now after some disappointing starts to the season. First off, we'll just go with Matt Eberflus. Zach, start us off.
For sure. Without doubt. Hot seat, for sure.
Any reason?
Just on the start of their season and how like they're not really being consistent at all with their offense.
They have looked better in their last 2 games, though. I'll give them that.
But it's just that it's just not going right at all for them. It's like if I'm Bears, I'd be considering maybe firing him soon. That's just my opinion.
I think he is on the hot seat. I think he was running Justin Fields for like the first 3 games basically. I mean, Fields has figured out a little bit better with passing here like the last 2 games, but their second halves have been just pretty bad, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos game was just a...
They were up,
absolute
what,
just-
28-7 and ended up losing?
Yeah, it's like, what happened?
What happened?
That was a devastating
What
game.
happened?
And then they allowed the Commanders to sort of, not like they didn't obviously win the game, but they allowed them to get back into the game a little bit. So I mean, it was like 27-3, and then the final score ended up being 20-40. But I think one of the touchdowns was just kind of stupid with DJ Moore at the end anyway. So
Yeah, it was honestly kind of fluky. My fantasy team appreciated it, though.
Mine didn't. Got killed by Jamar Chase and DJ
Oh,
Moore.
yeah.
I could only imagine.
It's
I
every
love
week.
Jamar Chase.
Every
Oh my
week.
gosh.
But
terrible.
as far as Eberflus go, yeah, I feel like he has to be. He's only won 4 games in the past 2 years. It took him almost a whole calendar year to win again. So I feel like that's just ridiculous. You just have to have something. If you actually believe in Fields, or if they do move on, they have to have somebody that they can trust to develop a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow suit with the room. He's gone. He's done like nothing for them, and I just find it funny how everybody was saying if they lose this game, then he's gonna get fired, and then they won. So they're stuck with him for.
He's coaching for his
one
job
game.
right now.
Honestly, yeah. So he heard about that, and he was like, "Okay, now I actually have to." Do
I
my
took that
job."
personally.
Yeah. So no, there's really not much to say. He's done nothing for why he should keep his job. So I think he's gone.
I guess I won't be the odd man out. I'll go that he's on the hot seat.
No way.
Just because.
Wait, what?
What?
I feel like they got like more weapons and everything, and they just haven't done much with them. You know, like they're just now starting to like get going. And again, it's the Bears, so.
The Bears.
Da Bears.
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 Yeah, I'm gonna go with the room on this one. I'm not exactly unique in my opinion. I think he's coaching for his job. Not much more to be said. Next up is gonna be Sean Payton. Austin, we'll start with you. We'll go in reverse order this time.
Yeah, I think they maybe give him another year, but it just you have.
I think it's hilarious that he lost to Nathaniel Hackett this weekend.
The thing.
That was great.
Yeah.
it just he has stuff to work with, and he's not working with it. So
Yeah.
Their defense has regressed heavily this year.
that as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and they just put out like offers for Justin Simmons. What are you
Oh,
doing?
that would be
It's
crazy.
ridiculous. Like one of their cornerstones of their defense, and they're just like, yeah, no,
I love
You can
Justin
have him.
Simmons.
it's ridiculous. Might as well get rid of P2.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, honestly,
Just-
I mean,
just
if you're,
burn it
if
all
you're
down,
gonna
fire
get rid
sale.
of your best players, might as well just do it all. Yeah, I think Sean Payton. I mean, he was gone for a while. Not that that's an excuse. He was gone for what?
It was a year.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was
Yeah.
out for 5 or anything.
Yeah, I know. It's
Just a little hiatus.
Again, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I am just saying like that's something as to why he's not the same Sean Payton as everybody was saying. Like, oh yeah, with this offense, he's gonna make them a Super Bowl contender.
I wasn't saying that. I was just
no.
saying they would be competent.
Yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't
thought
saying
so,
that
too.
either. But like everybody else online was saying that, and I was just like, pump the brakes. I think, yeah, give him one more year, And if it's still not working out, you got to either clean house or you got to get rid of him.
Yeah, I feel like they have to ride it out at least one more year. I feel
Ride
like,
it out.
Yeah, but if nothing else, you know, I would almost be willing to say that Wilson's gone before Peyton is.
I'm not going to say I disagree with that.
I will.
Although
I
that's a
disagree.
lot of
Well, yeah,
money
you have
in dead
bias,
cap
so.
that they'll have to take on.
No. I think he should be on the hot seat, honestly, because he's just been what the Broncos did to get him, trading, was it a second round pick, I think, for him, doing that, and like all the stuff that he talked about, like how Hackett was like doing a terrible job with that team, and he's not doing any better than what Hackett did. So
If
like,
anything, he's doing worse.
exactly.
It's a low
So
bar.
he really should probably be gone. Maybe not like after this year ends, then he's just gone. He gets the rest of the year.
So no matter what, you say he's gone?
I think they should.
Unless they
Wow.
turn it around, which they
Yeah.
might.
If they turn it,
They've got their
yeah.
get right game against the Packers in like 2 weeks, so
Maybe.
Oh yeah, he's for sure on the hot seat. I mean, this hasn't really been the Sean Payton that most NFL fans know when he was coaching for the Saints. I mean, look at the start he had their season, like 1-4. It's like I'm pretty sure Broncos fans like it wasn't really what the start. It wasn't really what they expected, but I'm pretty sure that Payton's job as the coach of the Broncos is good for like maybe for another year. But I'm pretty sure if it's getting worse, they'll probably fire him. Possibly they'll try to get a new quarterback. You know, maybe get rid of Russell Wilson too.
yeah, I think I'm probably gonna have to go with the room again on this one. I want a quick yes or no on this one, just because we don't have time to do more. Unfortunately, Bill Belichick, after 2 losses, like 72-3, I think was the combined score. Zach, yes or no?
Yeah.
What that he gets
That he's on the hot seat right now. Not that he get fired immediately, but
somewhat, I'd say yeah.
No.
Hot seat, yes. Fire, no.
If anybody has job security, it's Bill Belichick.
Exactly.
No.
It's a mild seat. It's a mild seat.
Yeah, I think if he leaves, it's on his own terms.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say that
that's true,
too.
too.
I think he
Yeah.
retires, doesn't get fired.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Or I could see that happening too.
Yeah, I mean, he's 71 now. How much longer is he really going to go for? There's no, honestly, there's no sight of a Super Bowl, no vision of anything really productive besides maybe a 500 season this year. And I don't think it's going to get much better. They whiffed on their quarterback pick. That's,
Yep.
I mean, that's
on
about
every pick. Honestly.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Except
They're terrible.
great coach,
drafting.
terrible GM.
except
Yeah.
Christian Gonzalez.
Well, yeah,
And then
Gonzalez.
Is he out?
He's a dog.
He's
He's out for an
yeah.
extended
He's out,
period.
but he's-
Well, when he was playing, he was good.
But with that, we're going to move into final thoughts really quick. I guess I'll share mine first. Bucks start in like 2 weeks or so. It's going to be exciting to see Dame and Marjan Beauchamp as Sam's wearing the jersey for.
Gotta get a new one.
Believe they play Philly game 1. Also, this might be a hot take. I'm not going to miss the pull-up threes that Drew Holiday would do with 22 left on the shot clock. I saw one of those this weekend and it made me chuckle. Zach?
Final thoughts. Well, I already checked the MLB games, playoff games for today. Houston's looking like they're gonna be up a game from the Twins. They're looking to have one more win. Houston's looking like they'll have one more win from advancing championship series, and then tonight, Rangers play the Orioles. And believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Rangers.
I think the Rangers are pulling the brooms out tonight.
They're one win away from
Orioles were too young.
eliminating
Carson's
the Orioles.
just in pain over there.
Well, it's saying the Orioles are like what? Orioles are number one seed, right?
Number 1 seed.
Yeah, they're looking to eliminate the number 1 seed in the American League.
Wow, how about that?
I never
Just too
thought
young.
I'd be saying this right now.
The Orioles, yeah, they're a year away, I think,
Yeah.
in all honesty.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Marjan is going to be the final starter for the Bucks.
I believe it or not, I'm one of the few that agrees with that.
Let's go.
I guess the Tampa Bay Lightning are tied 1-1
Wait,
with the
they just
Predators.
scored? Oh my
Yeah, it was
gosh, they
1-0
did.
when
In,
I
like,
saw
the
it last.
second period or
I was
whatever.
just about to say that. Wow.
And then another fantasy loss. I'm now 0-5 because I keep giving up the most
You might have
points.
to. You might
I don't
have to
know how
sell
that
the
works.
house, Alex.
I just don't get it. I give up the most points. Everybody has their best week against me.
I understand that.
every week.
I had 186 dropped on me
There's
this
nothing,
week.
there's nothing I can do.
That's tough. So let's go Kraken. They versus the Cup champions and divisional rivals, the Golden Knights, tonight at 9. And I could not be more upset with how right I was about the Brewers not winning a game against the D-backs. I remember this whole room was against me on that.
D-backs
So,
World Series.
I also cry when I say that, but at least the Blue Jays are out, so that's cool. And for the record, my home team is the Minnesota Wild. So, because I got some people saying, "Aren't you a Kraken fan?" But I like both. But this is my local team.
Understood.
The Falcons won. It wasn't the prettiest game, but I will take a win. Jamar Chase won me my fantasy league.
He lost me mine.
Killed me.
Thank you, Jamar Chase, for everything that you've done for
Slaughtered
me.
me.
Yeah, I hope the Falcons can actually finish above 500 this year.
There's a chance.
There's a shot. I mean, that division is wide open. Besides Carolina, sorry, Joe. Maybe they're
They're
struggling.
not a concern.
No. But that's going to do it for our Tuesday edition of Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. Make sure to tune in again tomorrow. That's going to be another good show. David Pollier is going to be on the mic. Some of these people, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of you guys are on there. Carson and Alex will be back tomorrow.
Yep.
Zach, too.
And everyone, have a good night, and we will see you next week.